also want to thank Doug King and Teresa King for keeping the flame alive of the Dave Parker 39 Foundation. Our annual golf outing would be successful without Teresa managing every detail and Doug. You've been such a wonderful and confident person to Pops and such a critical part of pushing us all forward and finding a cure for Parkinson's disease. We ain't there yet, but we're going to get there one day.
Welcome, everyone. As you all know, our fans, our audience, and our friends, family out there in the world, Saturday morning doesn't mean we can't advocate for a Parkinson's cure. This is 24/7. Today we have a really, really special guest. But before we get to that, I want to welcome everyone back to another episode of All-Star PD Sportscast. This is a show with my incredible brother here in advocacy, Tim. Welcome, Tim. And here we discuss the world of sports and slowing the progression of Parkinson's disease. Sometimes and more frequently, we've had some incredible, really not just legends, but now also officially Hall of Famers. And today we're going to focus again on baseball because, as you all know, just because we cover a sport doesn't mean we need to move on. We still have so many more legends and greats to discuss. So I wanted to again welcome you, Tim. And our incredible guest today is Doug King, but again, someone I consider family. We've talked actually through some tough times and never got the opportunity to see each other. And I know he's really thrilled that I can see him, but we love him and we love all he stands for and he does on behalf of someone incredible that I'll let Tim and Doug also introduce themselves and discuss.
Hey guys, what is shaking? I've been so looking forward to this. I know we've been trying to do this for a little bit. Listen, it's not every day you get to talk to somebody who knows a legend. That Cobra was a legend. Dave Parker was a legend. Meant a lot to me. Meant a lot to the MLB community. Meant a lot to the Parkinson's community. And I'm very honored to have one of his best friends on here to talk about it. Doug, tell us first how you met. How did listen? When I go for fast food, I'm looking for a Happy Meal. How did fast food, Burger King and Popeyes, bring you and an MLB great together?
Back in the early 90s, I was a regional franchise sales rep for Burger King. And Dave, and one of our plans was to try and involve retiring Major League Baseball players, NFL players, et cetera, into becoming franchisees. Hank Aaron was a franchisee of Arby's when I was there, and I got the opportunity to meet him one time. And it sort of evolved from there. All of the fast food franchises recognized that having that kind of star power on board as a franchisee was good for the brand. Burger King made it an investment in that in terms of specifically marketing to that in some respects. Dave responded to, and his attorney responded to an advertisement, and I, followed the process of qualifying them, et cetera, and they decided to invest in a Burger King. Unfortunately, back in those days, the existing Burger King franchisees had first say to sites. So every time they tried to find a site, other Burger King franchisee would raise his hand and say, "Oh, I want that site. I've been working on that." And so they didn't get it developed for some time. And in the meantime, I changed companies and went from Burger King to America's favorite chicken, which was Popeyes and Church's. And, just being ever trying to be diligent in pursuing sales, I recontacted them, asked if they might be interested in looking at Popeyes. There was only one Popeyes in Cincinnati at that time. I think this is around 92. And it was owned by a local attorney, and he was pretty successful with it. They spoke to him. They spoke to some other franchisees and proceeded to do a three-store Popeyes development deal, which they did build and operate for, I don't know, 15, 20 years, something like that, before they sold them. So, and the attorney who was originally going to be one of Dave's partners, I don't think was ever actually a partner in it. But Dave and his wife, Kelly, ran those successfully for a number of years.
Yeah, I know George is, we're going to get into he has a question about the foundation and we're going to get into that. But I got to ask you one thing. I watched, listen, long overdue that this man is inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
It took, but I can't, I watched it. I had tears in my eyes watching Dave Jr. do the speech, but he actually thanked you. So he didn't just thank you because you found him a Popeyes location. You became very good friends with this man. Give us a little bit about how that transpired.
He was doing a golf outing for a scholarship for inner city kids then in conjunction with the Cool Jazz Festival, which is a huge music festival here in Cincinnati. They do it in the Bengals Stadium. It draws, 50, 70,000 people a night for 3 nights. It's a huge weekend here in Cincinnati. And it's now, of course, they dropped the cool moniker some years ago when it wasn't cool to be associated with cigarettes anymore. But yeah, it's still been going on all these years. I don't even know how long I'm guessing it's coming up on 40 or 50 years. But anyway, they awarded those guys helped him with a golf outing, the guys who ran the jazz festival. And he mentioned to me that they were doing it. And I said, oh, I've worked on a couple golf outings. They'd love to help you. And I started doing that. We became friends. We played golf. We sort of lost track of each other when that stopped. Life gets going. My kids were getting older in high school sports and things like that in college. And all of a sudden in 15, a friend of mine said, hey, can you get a hold of Parker? My son-in-law is having his 39th birthday. He's a huge Parker fan. He's always had 39 as his number in baseball and softball. And I said, geez, I don't know how to get in touch with him anymore. We've lost track of each other. I know he's around town. And we both started digging into it. And he found another buddy that he played Roy Hobbs hardball with that did know Dave. And these are guys in their 50s were still playing hardball. He did know Dave, and Dave came to the birthday party celebration, and as a surprise for his son-in-law. And Dave and I reconnected, and he had just recently announced the Parkinson's diagnosis, and said we talked about that briefly, and he was in very, very good health then. It was really hard to tell that he was affected at all. And it had been probably a year or two since he'd been diagnosed. And he said he was starting a foundation for that to raise money and awareness, and asked me if I would, I told him I would be happy to help, let me know. And he called me about 3 or 4 weeks later and asked me if now 11 years later, we're getting ready for the last one. So
the rest is Cobra Classic history, I guess, right?
Exactly.
Well, I want to thank you for the background, and now like I said, we need to add a drum roll, but something very important to all of us here, and hopefully all of you listening, is something that now is a legacy, but also we can still help and support not just Doug, his work, but also Mr. Parker, their family, and everyone out there dealing with Parkinson's. Maybe you could, Doug, touch a little bit on the foundation. I don't know how active you'll be after now, but we want to still make sure that he's never forgotten because of Parkinson's, and give hope to so many out there that through amazing foundations like yourself, we're still raising money around the world to help research in Mr. Parker's memory, but also to find a cure someday. So I'll scroll a little, but maybe you could talk a little bit about, the mission, the history, and, maybe the future plans.
Sure. It's interesting. Everybody knows David for what a great baseball player he was, but he was really a very he was a wonderful person on top of it. But in addition, sometimes you think, do guys in that kind of world, do they really have an understanding of what it takes to manage a family that's suffering with debilitating effects of a disease like Parkinson's. And right away, at the very beginning, Dave, and I don't know how much Kelly had to do with this, but I'm guessing she had quite a bit. They wanted to make all the information they could available to the caregivers as well as the patients. And everybody who is affected by any type of disease like this, condition like this, knows that the caregiver is working harder than the patient. And we started out right away with our focus on not only providing information for patients, but making sure that we did as much as we could for the caretakers and the caregiver. And that's in our mission. And we've tried to continue to do that. Whenever we've had our educational events, we've had information there for caregivers, as well as the people with the Parkinson's. And we've just really tried to make that a focus and understanding how that affects the entire family, not just the one suffering.
I appreciate all that you all did and still do in the past, present, and future because, Tim might likely agree, but there are some individuals, obviously, they want to live private life, which is no problem, it's reasonable. But those who stand up, like Mr. Parker, like yourself, and really, in a way, fight back means the world to so many. I'm going to still scroll a little bit. I want to send it to Tim for some follow-up questions on the foundation.
Well, Doug touched upon something very important. I agree. I think a lot of people know Dave Parker as Cobra, as a seven-time All-Star, as a two-time National League batting champion, as a 78 most valuable player. But I got to tell you, what always got me was some of the backstories I read. I mean, they used to call him Pop, because it was almost like he was a caretaker before caretakers existed. Like he took care of the Eric Davises of the world, the Barry Larkins I mean, guys that became Hall of Famers, the Gary Sheffields, the Darryl Strawberries. He was a mentor to them. I mean, I read a story about how he basically took Barry Larkin under in the batting cages underneath where the Cincinnati Reds play and pretty much said, listen, you need to handle your business like this. I mean, he used to like house Eric Davis and buy him meals and clothing.
And clothes and
Yeah.
take care of your feet, boys,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff,
I mean,
Yeah, he was amazing, and that introductory speech that Eric did at the Hall of Fame was absolutely perfect, and he did an excellent job.
yeah.
And that was Dave, and Sheffield says it, Vaughn says it. I mean, so I was I think we've all heard the story that supposedly that when he got to the A's, La Russa said, and La Russa was there. La Russa came in for the funeral too, with he and Dave Stewart, which was very, very nice for them to travel all the way in for that. But La Russa told him, "I don't care if you can still hit. I want you to be a mentor in the locker room." Quote. That's paraphrased, but and he did that, and he did it everywhere he went. And from the Pirates at the early stages, when after Clemente passed and he got the job, he took Stargell's role as he grew older, and Stargell retired. And it was just amazing that so little about that is understood or known by the greater public out there.
That's why I think it's important. I mean, I know we're into sports and we're talking baseball and legends, but a lot of people need to know that side of Dave Parker. I mean, a lot of people know him almost like in a Pete Rose sense, like what in the world is taking so long for this man to be into the Hall of Fame? It's ridiculous at this point. But the person, truly amazing. If you see some of the backstories, like what you're talking about, Doug, you need to do a deeper dive into this man's life and what he meant to so many people. And this might be a little bit of a weird question, but you know him better than most. What would a Dave Parker say to somebody today who just got diagnosed with Parkinson's?
Well, he was always a fighter, and as he says there in that some words from Dave, he always focused on, what do I need to do to be successful? What do I need to do to fight the disease? And he did that for a long, long time. And I think that's the message he would give to someone who just got diagnosed. Do the exercises, you know, listen to the doctors. Um, don't give up. Keep fighting. Um, my personal experience has been that the more that people continue to do the exercises and do all the stuff that the therapists and the doctors suggest, they can fight off the progression of the effects of PD. Um, and I'm sure your experience has probably been very similar.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's manifests the effects differently, and for some people it's slow, for other people it's quickly. But the harder they fight, the harder they work. I think it has to help. It has to help.
And Doug, I was curious what the hope is now for the foundation. Also, everyone, please go to daveparker39foundation.com. We'll share the link so you don't have to write it down now, but please support them, donate, and help us ensure that Dave Parker is never forgotten because, as Doug knows, we'll never allow that. So, are there any events or what's the plan? I know it's still kind of early. And also, on top of that, maybe we'll go back to Tim in a moment, but did Mr. Parker ever talk to you about the Hall of Fame and how would he have felt knowing now that he is, I had the honor for Reggie Jackson as a kid to go to, I'm from Brooklyn, New York, so I've been one time to Cooperstown. It's definitely, as a child or adult, just life changing. So maybe you could touch on both of those.
Well, for one thing, the foundation will continue, and we'll look for other income streams, other ways to raise money. Almost all the we're all non we're all nonprofit. Of course, we're nonprofit. We're all volunteer. It's Kelly and myself and my wife and a number of volunteers that step in when we've got a function and we need activities taken care of. But for the most part, the planning part of it is Kelly and I, and we will find another way other than a golf outing. A golf outing is a lot of work, and we're all getting older. But we'll find another way to continue to generate funds. And all of our funds, since we are all volunteers, we have very limited overhead, no salaries. So all of our funds go directly to the University of Cincinnati Gardner Neuroscience Institute, which a family here in town, the Gardners, donated multi millions. I think the initial investment was $13 million to honor their family members who had suffered from Parkinson's. And over the last 10 years, the Gardner Neuroscience Institute has become a world-class research and treatment facility. So it's just amazing we have that right here. Dave was treated there. He did advertising for him. His doctors are there. It's just a super facility for all neurodegenerative diseases, and we'll continue to try and help them and raise money as best we can, other than the golf outing. So.
Thanks. Dan, did he mention anything about the Hall of Fame over the years?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, he always, when it came up, he always had a comment. He didn't understand. I mean, I think he did understand. There were some sports writers who held his indiscretions of the 80s, 70s, and 80s against him. And I think if you've ever read his book, the opening foreword by him is just terrific in acknowledging his mistakes and what he should have been doing at that time, as opposed to being in court with that. But he knew he was a Hall of Famer. He knew his statistics were Hall of Fame worthy. He knew his play, his attitude, his on-field presence, and in his mind, I think he was always a Hall of Famer. And I think that for the bulk of baseball fans, he was always a Hall of Famer, long before they finally got around to inducting him last weekend. And let me tell you, that was quite an event.
It was
Quite
beautiful.
an event. Yeah. And D2 did an unbelievable job with that speech. He was just excellent.
And by the way, Dad looks
I'm
just
sorry.
like he looks just like him.
No, he does, doesn't he? Yeah. Yeah. It's a spitting image.
Well, thank you. I'm going to send it now to Tim for some follow-up, and we're going to wrap up soon. But again, everyone, please support all that Doug still continues to do with the Dave Parker and all the incredible work that they're doing at the foundation.
What I will say, and just wrapping up on my side, again, I can't thank Doug enough for being here and sharing some stories of such a great man and a true Hall of Famer. It's about time he's there. Listen, like I said, anybody who gets thanked in Dave Parker's Hall of Fame speech, isn't just an event coordinator. That's a lifelong friend, and we appreciate him coming on. I always like to leave the show with some famous quotes. Of course, I had to pick two today from Mr. Dave Parker. The first one is, "When the leaves turn brown, I'll be wearing the batting crown." This man did not lack for confidence. He knew how good he was. And this is the one that somebody asked him about after he got diagnosed with Parkinson's. And he said, "It's like a 3-2 count in the ninth inning, and you need that run. I've always been the man, and I'm still going to be the man." When you have this degenerative disease, you get beat down. I've been in there. I've been in the hole. I've been in the corner where you don't think anything's going to drag you out. You need to get a little bit of that. I'll call it, I'll trademark it today, Cobra confidence with this disease. You got to know that better days are ahead and to not give up and stop fighting. You can never stop fighting.
I really appreciate that. And the comments, I always say it's tough to follow up after Tim's words of wisdom. But Doug, yes, thanks for joining us today. I hope we can do this more as long as we all continue to share this. Everyone out there listening also, and Mr. Parker will live on. Again, the Dave Parker Foundation, DaveParker39Foundation.com. Something new we've been doing is we just released a book recently on sports, exercise, slowing the progression of Parkinson's. And anyone who purchases it today or watching this, please put Dave Parker in the shipping and name, and we'll donate all the proceeds to Dave Parker Foundation and to all the work that Doug is still doing. Just wanted to again thank you, Doug. I don't know if you had any, I don't say last minute words because I'd say to be continued, because this conversation, of course, can never end till we have a cure. But Mr. Parker, I feel, will live on through not just the three of us, but the world, and the sharing this, and really just talking about the accomplishments and now the Hall of Fame, which is something most never reach the pinnacle of their career. So he's still being spoken, his mouth out of our mouths, the words, and his memory, like my mother and all those unfortunately lost their battle, I feel should never be forgotten. So again, thank you, sir, for joining us. Again, if you have any wrap up, we'd love to hear it now.
Well, George, thank you so much, you and Tim, for helping to spread the word and all the work you do. It takes advocates like you to keep the word out there and keep people focused on what we need to do to find a cure. And I'm glad we finally were able to do it. And I apologize for it taking so long.
No, that's all right. I mean, they say, the best things are worth the wait, and I feel that this is just again the beginning, because the more we talk about this and his accomplishments, his legacy, and his son who'll carry it on, family, and all of us friends now, we all have to be family in this fight towards a cure, because that's the only way I feel our voices will reach the world. So thanks again, Tim, for everything you do, and also the early morning. You two were talking about fast food. I'm getting hungry now this morning on Saturday morning. But again, it's such an honor to speak to you today, and also in the past, but also going forward to the future. This has been another episode of All Star PD Sportscast with my co-host Tim. Please help support him too at my PD party. He's doing some amazing fundraising also through Michael J. Fox Foundation, Team Fox. This show discusses the world of sports, slowing the progression of Parkinson's, and hopefully we'll be able to go live actually next month, September, at Washington at the Capitol. Where I don't know if Doug, but we've been both invited. On really an honor and dream and an inspiration to be at the Capitol to talk about and help reach the legislators. And I hope everyone listening will now literally just sit down for a minute, email, call, and contact your legislators, because we need everyone to explain how important research is today. We've had a lot of researchers on different shows and things, but it's really all of you listening who keep this going and really inspire me to keep going, because fortunately we can't bring Mr. Parker and my mother back, but I feel even just today, if we reach one person, they now know and will never forget us, and also help those battling today, like my brother here, Tim. So thanks, everyone. Thank you. It's been an honor, beautiful show, and so many more to come because we have more sports to cover and so many more legends out there still battling, but also some that unfortunately we lost that we have to remember. Thanks again, Doug. Thanks, Tim. We love you all. See you
Thank
soon.
you. Thank you.
Also wanted me to leave everyone with this poem that he wrote, that he gave me a long time ago. And he said if he ever made it here to read it. So that's what I'm about to do. Here I am, 39, about damn time. I know I had to wait a little, but that's what you do with fine age wine. I'm a pirate for life. Wouldn't have it no other way. That was my family. Even though I didn't go on parade day, I love y'all. The Bucks own my heart because those 2 championships I got, y'all played in the first part. I'm in the hall now. You can't take that away. That statue better look good. You know I got a pretty face. Top tier athlete, fashion icon, sex symbol. No reason to list the rest of my credentials. I'm him, period, the Cobra. Known for my rocket arm, and I will run any catcher over. To my friends, families, I love y'all. Thanks for staying by my side. I told y'all Cooperstown would be my last ride. So the Star of Day will be in the sky tonight. Watch it glow. But I didn't lie. On my documentary, I told you I wouldn't show. Thank you.
I'm a competitive guy, and I'm not going to let it beat me. I'm not going to lay down to it. I'm going to be in the battle for as long as I can.